Good day, everyone. So, the DepEd's guidelines for assessment and grading under the new normal has now been released, and they called it as the DepEd Order Number 31 Series of 2020, entitled The Interim Guidelines for Assessment and Grading in Light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, or the BELCP. So before we proceed to our topic, let me ask you first, what comes to your mind when you hear the word assessment? Some would say test, some would say evaluation. Assessment is an integral part of teaching, meaning it is inseparable with the teaching and learning process. Assessment is very important for us teachers to keep track on the progress of our learners. COVID-19 pandemic have brought many changes in our lives, especially in the teaching and learning process. We had tackled the BELCP, or the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, which DepEd formulated this year so that education will continue amidst this pandemic. While the DepEd issues the interim policy guidelines for assessment and grading in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, Enclosure Number 1, to provide guidance on the assessment of student learning and on the grading scheme to be adopted this school year 2020 to 2021. Next, we have the principles which this policy is grounded. A. Assessment should be holistic and authentic in capturing the attainment of the most essential learning competencies, or the MELCs. B. Assessment is integral for understanding student learning and development. C. A variety of assessment strategies is necessary, with formative assessment taking priority to inform teaching and promote growth and mastery. D. Assessment and feedback should be a shared responsibility among teachers, learners, and parents. E. Assessment and grading should have a positive impact on learning. Next are the following definition of terms that is enclosed in this DepEd order. Letter A, we have classroom assessment. So classroom assessment is an ongoing process of identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about what learners know and can do. Next, we have the types of assessment. The first one is the formative assessment. So formative assessment is a process that involves teachers using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. This process, through the teacher's immediate feedback, enables students to take responsibility for their own learning and identify areas where they do well and where they need help. Next, we have summative assessment. Summative assessment is an assessment that usually administered toward the end of a learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies, the results of which are recorded and are used to report the learner's achievement. Next, we have grading. Grading is the way of reporting assessment data by assigning a value to the results as a record of students' ability, achievement, or progress that is according to the Association for Supervisor and Curriculum Development. Next, we have the different significant roles and responsibilities among teachers, learners, and parents. Let's tackle first the significant roles and responsibilities of teachers. 1. Designing the assessment to allow for flexibility in multiple modalities. 2. Communicating to learners and parents or guardians the design and standards for grading the assessment. 3. Setting up mechanisms to monitor and record progress remotely. 4. Giving timely, constructive, and relevant feedback. And 5. Facilitating remediation for learners who need further guidance. Next, we have the learners. Learners are expected to be proactive in updating their teacher of their situation, progress, and challenges encountered. A non-mandatory self-monitoring tool, which can be seen on the Annex E of this DepEd order, may be accomplished independently or with the assistance of their parent or guardian if necessary. It is not required to accomplish the self-monitoring tool, but its usage is highly recommended to keep track of learners' academic progress. So at the end part of this topic, we can see the example of a self-monitoring tool. Next, we have the parents and guardians. So DepEd aims to develop independent learners who can study and work on the assessments on their own. However, in the school year's implementation of distance learning modalities, parents and guardians will play a crucial role in guiding their children adapting to the changes of distance learning processes. Thus, only when necessary, parents or guardians are requested to assist in the assessment process by the following. 1. Communicating with the teacher to give updates on their child's situation, progress, and challenges encountered. And 2. Guiding their children in accomplishing the assessment tasks and/or monitoring tools designed by their teacher. Next, to evaluate student learning at a particular points in each quarter, summative assessment shall continue in the form of written works and performance tasks. Letter A. Written works shall be administered to assess essential knowledge and understandings through quizzes and long or unit tests. Items should be distributed across the cognitive process dimensions, which is enclosed in the DepEd number 8, series of 2020, page 4, using a combination of selected response and constructed response formats so that all are adequately covered. Next, we have the second assessment component, which is the performance task. This refers to assessment tasks that allow learners to show what they know and are able to do in diverse ways. They may create or innovate products or do performance-based tasks, including skill demonstrations, group presentations, oral work, multimedia presentations, and research projects. It is important to note that written outputs may also be considered as performance tasks, which can also be seen on the DepEd Order Number 8, series of 2015, pages 7 to 8, Annex B, provides a list of sample summative assessments that fall under performance tasks for the purpose of this policy. Next, we have the principles of quality assessment practice. 1. It must align with the most essential learning competencies or the MELCs. 2. It must be reliable, valid, and transparent. 3. Are fair, inclusive, and equitable. 4. Are practical and manageable for both learners and teachers. 5. Give learners a range of ways to demonstrate their learning. And lastly, provide timely and accurate information as basis for feedback. Next, the following are the important questions to consider when deciding on which assessment methods to use. What is the purpose of the assessment? What will be assessed? Which method would best allow learners to demonstrate what they have learned, considering their learning modality? Which method would make it easy to gather evidence of learners' progress over time? Will the assessment be completed individually or group? Will the assessment be taken at the same time or submitted within a specific period? Next, we have record of progress. The collection and recording of evidences of learning is an integral for monitoring student learning and development. Listed below are some sample strategies for this purpose. Number one, the self-monitoring tool. So as I had mentioned a while back, a self-monitoring tool is not voluntarily, but it is highly recommended. Next, check-ins of teacher with learner during assessment period. C. Evidence of learning in the student's learning portfolio. So, written work and performance tasks are considered as assessment components. They shall be administered to assess the content and performance standards that describe the knowledge, abilities, and skills that learners are expected to demonstrate. These tasks could be designed to include the following. Letter A. Students' learning portfolio that documents all the evidence of learning within the grading period, including self-reflections, self-evaluations of performance tasks guided by rubrics, and self-selected best outputs in learning modules. Letter B. So here in the DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020, there must be a minimum of 4 written works and 4 performance tasks within the quarter, preferably 1 into 2 weeks, integrating 2 or more competencies. C. All competencies should be covered by the performance task. For example, a performance task can be used to assess science, math, and English altogether for certain topics. So for the current school year, quarterly assessments shall not be administered. However, days allotted for quarterly assessments in DepEd Order number 7 series of 2020 for the school calendar and activities for school year 2020 to 2021 may be used for the presentation of major performance for the quarter that addresses the performance standard. So quarterly examinations were given a weight of 20% constantly in the previous DepEd order that we used last school year, and this is the DepEd order number 8 series of 2015. Since it will no longer be a part of the grading system for this school year, its previously determined weight was distributed equally into written works and performance tasks. So if quarterly examination or quarterly assessment is 20%, uh, it was distributed equally to written works and performance tasks, allotting an additional 10% to each component for every subject. This maintains an emphasis on performance tasks for some learning areas. Next, we have table number 1, which shows the weight distribution of the summative assessment components per learning area for grade 1 to grade 10. So on the left side, we can see the 2 assessment components, the written works and performance tasks. On the right side, we have weights for each subject. We have languages, AP, and DSP. Languages subjects includes Filipino and English. For written works, we have 40%. For performance tasks, we have 60%. For science and mathematics, written works is 50%, performance task is 50%. For DepEd, EPP, and TLE, written works we have 30%, performance tasks we have 70%. Next, on Table 2, it shows the weight distribution of the summative assessment components for senior high school. So, we have the two assessment components, the written works and performance tasks. For core subjects, written works is 40%, performance tasks is 60%. And for academic track, under all other subjects, written works is 40%, performance tasks is 60%. And for work immersion, research, business enterprise simulation, exhibit, performance, written work is 50%, and performance task is also 50%. For tech voc and livelihood, sports and arts, all other subjects, work immersion, research, exhibit, performance, and the written work is 30%, performance task is 70%. Next, Table 3. It shows the sample computation of written works and performance tasks in languages, AP, ESP for grade 1 to grade 10, and SHS core subjects. Okay, so for written works in languages, AP and ESP is 40%. Written work number 1 is 20, written work number 2 is 25, written work number 3 is 20, written work number 4 is also 20, then the sum is 85. So learner A out of 20, he got 18. For written work number 2, 22 over 25, written work number 3, 20 over 20, written work number 4, 17 over 20, a total of 77 over 85. Next, table number 4, it shows sample computation in math and science subject, the same with table number 3. Next, we have the sample computation for MAPE, EPP, and TLA. So, in Annex B of the DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020, there are sample summative assessment tools that qualify as performance tasks in various learning delivery modalities. So we had learned that we have different learning delivery modalities. Examples are the TVBI, the radio-based, the online distance learning, and modular distance learning. So the example that I get is the digital or printed modular learning, the TV or RBI, and homeschooling, since most of the schools, especially public schools, uh, adopted the modular distance learning. So on the left side, the first column, we have the learning area. Next, the summative assessment tools, the written outputs, products, and performance-based tasks. So for languages, the suggested summative assessment tool and the written outputs are book or article reviews, essays, journals, letter writing, reaction or reflection papers, and reports. For products, examples are campaigns, case studies, collage compositions, literary analysis, multimedia productions, portfolios, research projects, story or poem writing. For performance-based tasks under languages, we have interviews, multimedia presentations, and project making. Then we have also the mathematics subject, science, araling panlipunan, music, arts, physical education, PE, health, ESP or edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, EPP, edukasyong pantahanan at pangkabuhayan, TLE, technology, and livelihood education. So on Annex E, we can see the sample self-monitoring tool, which is highly recommended for us teachers to use to keep track on the progress of our learners. So this is the example of self-monitoring tool. We have pangalan ng mag-aaral, baitang at pangkat, pangalan ng magulang o guardian ng mag-aaral, petsa na sakop ng form. So, for letter A, para sa mag-aaral, number 1 question is, anong mga asignatura ang napag-aralan mo ngayon? Then, with the help of a parent or guardian, they will answer the question by filling out the day for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday up to Saturday. Next, number 2, kumusta ka sa mga aralin ngayon? Alin sa mga ito ang madali para sa iyo? Bakit? Number 3, may mga gusto ka bang itanong sa iyong guro? Tungkol sa aralin, ilista mo dito ang iyong mga tanong. Letter B, para sa magulang o guardian. Nagawa ba ng iyong anak ang kanyang mga gawain sa paaralan ngayong araw? So, on part B, the parent or guardian will be the one to answer. They will be checking if their child had already finished answering his or her modules, nagawa ng bata mag-isa, nagawa ng bata na may tulong ng iba, or di nagawa. Number 2 question, kumusta ang pag-aaral ng inyong anak? May mga gusto ka bang iulat o itanong sa kanyang guro? Isulat dito ang iyong mga puna, question o tanong. Then on part C, this is for the teacher, mga komento at sagot ng guro. So, before I end my topic, let's take a look on the difference between the previous DepEd order that we are using. This is the DepEd order number 8, series of 2015, wherein there is no required number of written work or WW and performance tasks, PT, and then it have 3 assessment components: the WW, the written work, PT, performance tasks, and QA, the quarterly assessment. Then on the new assessment and grading guidelines, the DepEd order number 31, series of 2020, there is a minimum of 4 written works and 4 performance tasks, and then it has only 2 assessment components, the written work and the performance task only. And that would be all. Thanks for watching.